Yes, the most frustrating question in our situation today is that Africans have found it fashionable to form lots and lots of parties. But these parties do not spring out of an analysis of both the global and national environments. They seem to be driven by other considerations rather than being informed by the factors which exist objectively in our situation. Now, when you look at what informs parties in writing their so-called manifestos, not really about political programs, but what they think they are going to tell the people during campaigning, which is very different from a party which has got a political program. Now, some of these political parties are really informed by a wish of individuals to be in parliament. One can say this without fear or favor, that some of them are actually job seeking. They want a good job, and parliament is one of the attractive jobs because there's nothing much people do there except listening to the leaders of political parties, the so-called chief whips. So people just want to go to parliament. The other consideration which you should look at is that some people are moved by anger and frustration. Here I'm talking about anger and frustration about what is taking place in our country, particularly that which informs people around you. Others actually are moved by their personal anger and frustration. Now, when you have got politics which is driven by personal anger and frustration, then you start discerning from the speeches of the prospective leaders of parties things like I. It is no longer about the organization, the we, it is about the I. What happened to the I? What did the I do in the past? Then drives that organization. Now, organizations driven by personal anger and frustrations are short-lived because they live with the currency of that leader. When that leader falls out of currency, then the organization slides down into obscurity. You have organizations in South Africa which absolutely have no idea about what it means to run a country. They are organizations which are moved by a single thing, a single factor. A factor like we are against so-called cadre deployment. And therefore they form a party to fight against cadre deployment. So these are not really parties. They are, in a way, pressure groups. Now, pressure groups don't make parties. Now, African parties in South Africa are many of them. But in reality, there are not many parties. It is said that people would like to divide the African vote. people would like to forget about the suffering of our people and concentrate on their own whims. What is the situation we are facing in our country? The situation we face in our country is that apartheid and colonialism still exist. And that is the crux of the situation. That's what creates the problem. If we do not dismantle apartheid and colonialism and actually destroy its infrastructure and ideological leanings, we are not going to get it right. We of the AAR have released our political program, and it's a program to dismantle apartheid and colonialism. And such a program inescapably have to look at the tenets of colonialism and apartheid. You cannot escape to deal with the question of land if you have to change things in our country. You cannot change things in our country unless you deal with apartheid education. You cannot change things in our country unless you deal with the issue of spatial segregation. You cannot deal with the problem in our country when you still have protection of the minority. Protection of the minority to continue to own land to the exclusion of Africans. Protection of the minority to be able to use the courts to stop change. It's in this situation which we find these political parties. We therefore have to follow the program of AAR to change things in our country. These coming elections are therefore a referendum. Our people have to choose whether they want to remain in this situation or they want to change things to the better. AAR will lead them to change things to the better. The rest are only offering them cosmetic changes, while the essence of the problem, apartheid and colonialism, ideology, structures, still persist. We therefore call on our people to support AAR. We have no doubt that we will enjoy their support.